I think it's time to blow this scene. Get everybody in the stuff together. Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's jam.
Welcome to the Next Issue podcast. Today we are going to dive into the Hellfire Gala event that just happened. We're gonna go deep. We're gonna go spoiler heavy.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot to talk about. But actually, I guess we should start with that because I know Kyle said he's got to duck out early. So let's go right into the.
I mean, we can talk if we write anything for a little bit.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I mean, I'm just trying to make sure we get. I don't know how much for discussion we'll get out of it, but
I'm here until like 11:30. So.
Okay. Cool. All right. Well, let's get into it then. Let's talk about whatever we've been watching, reading this week. It's been a good week, I think, for comics and stuff. But
Oh yeah.
Clay, I'll let you kick it off.
Still going through library stuff. Reading Hickman's Avengers, it's so dense. I almost think this is one of those omnibus level type books. Like you can read it in pieces, but even like this broken down, it's very dense.
Isn't that kind of every Hickman thing, though?
Yeah. I got a couple of copies of these at the library, Two-Face and Penguin One Bad Day. I gotta say, I love the Brian Bolin art on the back.
Mm.
The hardbacks are done really nice. The extras in it are cool. I gotta say, I picked the Penguin story over Two-Face.
I got my. The Riddler
nice.
one's missing. Oh no, it's not.
Oh,
I got my box collector.
Is the extra space in there for a book that hasn't come out yet?
I think so. Yeah, because it should be 1, 2, 3, 6, 7. Yeah, there's 8. Yeah, so I think I'm missing the Clayface, maybe.
Yes.
Or no, that one's already out. I don't know. Yeah, it's got to be missing one for sure. But
yeah, I was curious because I figured if they were doing this nice box set, like I didn't know who the authors or the artists were on either book. Like I knew Tom King did the Riddler one, but these were guys who had done other work on a lot of DC stuff. It's just stuff I hadn't read.
I think for the most part, they all have the creative team on the cover. Yeah. So like Clayface is Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing with Harmonico and art. So yeah, they you can find it there because.
Oh no! I just didn't know their work.
Gotcha. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Unbeatable Squirrel Girl is a hidden gem.
I need to read it.
It's just a lot of fun. It's the fun part of comics. Like, I think there's a level of silliness and fun that comics does well, and Squirrel Girl does it the best. I mean, from the details on the art, the cards that they do in the issues, there's like dialogue at the bottom of every page that's hilarious. I don't know if that's Erica Henderson or Ryan North, but like this would be something that would get a kid hooked on Mad Magazine because it's funny, silly. It has tons of details like you would get in old magazine books, you know, with stuff in the borders and things like that. I can't recommend this enough. Like, it's just a fun time. Magneto #1 with the Howard the Duck cover.
Oh, nice.
This is a Magneto story that takes place during the time when he took over the New Mutants. So you remember back, he kind of had a purple costume. I think
big M on the front.
Is this late 90s, early 2000s?
No, this is the 80s. We're talking like Secret Wars 2 time.
Oh, wow, really? Okay.
Yeah. Because you know, at that point, Magneto takes over the school, and it's like this guy who tried to kill a bunch of people is now our teacher.
Right.
You know, and they work that shit out in this.
Oh, cool.
It's Todd Nook, who I love his art, and he draws kids like kids. So the New Mutants look like kids, and because his work on what's his DC book, the
Young Justice.
Young Justice. Yeah, I mean, like I always imagined like his art on that book. Really, if you remember that time period, this is a great read. Astonishing Iceman. After what happens at the Hellfire Gala, he gets an issue.
He gets a miniseries.
Yeah,
it's a miniseries.
Gene eventually.
It's not for me, but maybe it's for someone else. I mean, do you want me to spoil?
We could talk about it after. I think when we get into the gala, like
when we get into spoilers, I'll explain how.
I've read it, but I mean, you're right. It's not for me either.
Yeah, and then Hellfire Gala, Howard the Duck. But that's all the comic stuff I've got.
Okay. Here, let me jump in, and then we'll go back to you guys. So this week, I also read The Astonishing Iceman. We'll talk more about that. I picked up this Star Wars Dark Droids. I haven't read it yet, but it's like the. What was it, Josh? Go ahead.
No, sorry. That is the first Star Wars book I'm going to pick up in years. Is it good? It looked great. I love the concept.
I haven't read it, but I do like the.
Oh, you said that. I'm sorry.
It's like it's kind of like the kickoff to like whatever's going to be happening in the world of Star Wars, which I really like that the droids are going to be kind of at the forefront. Charles Soule's leading this one, so I'm pretty excited. I think it will run throughout the Star Wars line. So, but I wanted to pick this up because the cover was really cool. Yeah, so I was very excited for this one. I also picked up the X-Men 25, which we'll talk about once we get to the Hellfire Gala. This is
the
wraparound cover. So you know some stuff
that came out this week, I hope, right?
It did.
All
so
right,
we had two X-Men books this week, Iceman and X-Men. And those are the first things coming out after the gala. Now, did anybody else read or is interested in Conan the Barbarian?
I didn't get to the shop this week, but it's in my pull list.
Right. So this is the new Conan from Titan Comics.
Mm-hmm.
This is a Mike Mignola cover, which if he does a cover, if he does a cover, I'm definitely gonna pick it up.
Yep.
Written by Jim Zub, who does a lot of fantasy work. I think he's very well known for that. And it looks really interesting. I did a whole review, but like to me, this feels like what a Conan book should kind of look like on the inside.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. I can see that.
I think it's fun that he has his little helmet that he wears because he doesn't always wear that
little helmet.
You know.
Conan's gonna burst through your wall and be like, "My little helmet."
I'm pretty sure that page is swiped straight out of the Barry Windsor Smith Conan.
It did.
Because it looks like the pose that he does he did Conan back in the day. I mean, that Barry Windsor Smith run is iconic.
When Windsor Smith draws Conan, he's never not man spreading.
Yes.
His legs are always like out in like a 80-degree, no more than that, like 120-degree angle. So,
especially King Conan.
Did you guys read any of the Marvel stuff? The Conan Marvel? So the license isn't a Marvel anymore.
Yeah.
Only in Savage Avengers.
Well,
when he was
cool.
in there. Like when they wrote him out.
The original
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
That was great. I like that.
Yeah, I got the first 6 of just the Conan and Savage Sword of Conan, but it was just like, it's Conan's story. It wasn't nothing I remember or stand out. It's always just him by himself, overcoming great odds, kicking ass, and that's what you get Conan for.
Yeah, it was really interesting because I don't normally read sword and fantasy stuff like this, but this week we also had Dynamite sent us a copy of Fire and Ice,
I forgot to read that.
the prequel
I didn't read
comic to the movie.
Never seen the film.
I read it out of.
I am shocked by this. You've never seen. All right, wait. Have you seen Wizards?
No.
Yeah.
Have you seen any of the
animation?
I was never a big Bakshi fan growing up. I have an appreciation for it now, but I was never a big. I've never seen the animated Lord of the Rings. I've seen the Return of the King. I've seen the Hobbit, but I've never seen the Lord of the Rings.
Well,
yeah, that's
I mean, the Hobbit was
the Hobbit
breaking bad. Yeah, it's way better because the others are weird, like psychedelic. There's a lot of like.
Return of the King is it's the last part of what that movie is supposed to be. It's just done by the same anime. It was done by Rankin and Bass.
Yeah.
Right. But if you've never seen Wizards,
I know. I know.
It's, character design by Mike Ploog. It's amazing. Like, it's really cool.
American Pop is my favorite.
Now, American Pop is one I need to see. I haven't seen it.
Here. I never seen it either.
Yeah, and it's only like 80 minutes long. I'm pretty sure it's free. Most of his stuff you can find on Pluto or Tubi for free. Yeah. So, but Ralph Bakshi, like Fire and Ice for sure is available out there because we recently watched it on Social Spectators.
I've never seen Fritz the Cat.
Well,
yeah,
it's but it's one of the things like if you're going back to watch animation from that kind of period, I think it's one of the ones you kind of got to see.
See, Ralph was there. He was setting the tone for adult cartoons at the time. Like nobody else was really doing it. So you have him doing. He kept wanting to adapt Lord of the Rings. He did because I think Fire and Ice was like the fantasy, like hey, look what I can do, like kind of fantasy work type stuff.
Yeah.
But like I think that he's problematic with some of his films, like Coonskin and his portrayal of minorities in some of his films. But like really, I think people should dig into his work because we wouldn't have. I don't think The Simpsons would exist if Ralph didn't exist.
I could probably agree with that.
Yeah.
But the Fire and Ice film is just a fun fantasy film that's used rotoscoping to really cut down the time on having to animate every cell. They would film actors and then they would just trace them. So that's what a lot of his does, except for some of the stylized ones like Wizards, Coonskin, things like that. But American Pop is the story of immigrants and pop music from the 20s until the 70s. And it is so good and so cool. It's like one of those I think that should rise to the top of his work. But most people remember, like, what was the one he did with Brad Pitt?
Cool World.
Cool World, yeah. That was like, I think, him trying to do a studio film, and it just wasn't going to work.
Yeah, he really struggled in the 90s because I think there was this weird tension where, I don't know if it was him or the studios, but they were trying to make him go mainstream.
Yeah.
And it just, if you remember the Mighty Mouse backlash, right? Like ridiculousness. But it was just like Bakshi's not a mainstream guy. His period is really the 70s and the 80s and this kind of alternative scene.
I think they were trying to capture Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yeah,
magic.
Absolutely.
With that film or with his work on the film y'all just told me that I fucking forgot.
Cool World.
Cool World.
Monkey Bone.
Monkey Bone. Sorry, Danny.
But he was problematic to work with because he did Fritz the Cat, and then there's a scene in Wizards where he talks about they killed Fritz because it was his commentary on them doing a sequel to Fritz the Cat without him.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
right.
Yeah, there's a lot of great stories of him dealing with Hollywood and stuff, but the dude made animated films when it was really hard to make them, and Fire and Ice is I will say this, it has a long prologue to set you up in the movie, so you have to listen to like this 10 minutes of exposition of how the world has nuked itself and destroyed itself, but now it's started to come back at a time of magic.
You mean Thundar the Barbarian?
Might as well be.
So Bill Willingham wrote this Fire and Ice comic.
Oh, dude, from Fables.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did not realize that. So is it good for those that read it?
I mean, I've never seen the movie and I found it interesting. I like it. I mean, there's definitely a little bit of like, oh, look at everybody's outfit. You know, especially the ladies. Like
the ladies have sheer outfits.
Yeah, that's very much a Frazetta Bakshi thing.
Yeah.
When you're watching Wizards and you realize none of the female characters wear bras, that's a weird thing to realize in a cartoon, and yet you do.
Wizards don't believe in bras.
So
yeah, I recommend it. I mean, I mainly read it because, you know, when we get it sent over, I'm like, well, got to make a video about something.
right.
But yeah, it was weird that like both Conan and that came out. Like they're very different tonally, but I think they have a very similar feel as to like all these, you know, big dudes. There's a lot of violence in the Conan one. I think a lot more than the Fire and Ice.
Are we seeing a rise of fantasy comics that are overtaking some other genres?
We might be.
It could, yeah. I mean, it definitely could be. I don't know. I think maybe they've always been there in the periphery, and maybe we're just not aware.
That could be, but yeah, and I do wonder if it's is it sort of like a cultural thing in the same way that Bakshi made all the all of his fantasy films in the 70s. There was this huge fascination with Tolkien and fantasy. Yeah. I wonder if maybe the cultural phenomena of D&D right now is causing a lot of fantasy interest.
Yeah,
so that could also be it for sure. Yeah. I think the role playing, like, you know, like all these companies are putting out comics that are either in the world of or similar. So, but here, let me get through some of the other ones. So I also read issue 2 of Christopher Chaos. This is a Dark Horse book. I really like that they're doing these wraparound covers. I think those are really neat. They introduced a new character called Dracula Boy. Very cool. And then I got this X-Men 25. I got another. This is so Shadowcat's back. K Pride is back as Shadowcat.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, bring back Sprite.
He's back, but not a Sprite.
Yeah. I think my favorite thing I read this week, though, What If Dark Venom.
Oh, yeah.
This was really good. Like, these What If Darks have been actually pretty interesting. This one is like, what if the Venom symbiote after Secret Wars like attached itself to Ben? Because he's, and then one artist made a cover, like it was an homage to that issue of The Man, the Monster, or whatever what's the story called?
Yeah.
Which thematically plays out with all this Venom stuff. This one's by Stephanie Williams, who will be doing the Wolfcap comic in the near future that we talked about, I think. But it's really good. I really, really enjoyed it. And then the last thing I'll say that I haven't gotten around to it, but I did pick up Death of the Venomverse because anything with symbiotes I'm gonna check out. And this one's by Cullen Bunn, who did all the other Venomverse stuff in the past. So like, this is kind of his world. The premise is that Carnage wants to kill all the Venoms, not all the symbiotes, just all the versions of Venom across the multiverse.
Of course.
So, you know, I guess he's got to work out some of his daddy issues on the page. So
through the multiverse, that's a lot of killing.
Yeah, but he's been kind of powering himself up in these little books overall.
What's the funnest version you've seen in a multiverse of Venom?
Oh man, I mean, I gotta say, so this one's, I mean, the thing one looks pretty sick. Like, just as far as the design looks pretty slick. I think there was a lot of X-Men Venom that were really cool in the previous iteration. Because like the X-Men are already pretty cool. Like there's a Wolverine, like a Laura Wolverine Venomized run around. So I also love Agent Venom. Like this is the Flash Thompson.
I love that version of Venom.
So yeah, but that's I haven't read that one. I'm planning on it this weekend, so definitely want to get into that. But that's about it. I think maybe a few more things, but I'll let Kyle go because I didn't read the book he's about to talk about, but I did pick it up.
Which one? Amazing Spider-Man?
Yeah.
This one was this is kind of coming off of this actually kind of leads into the Gala, because this is the last couple issues have been Spider kind of going a little bit like he's been like knocking himself dead, hot exhaustion because of Kamala dying, saving his life, pretending to be Mary Jane and everything. And so Doc Ock has come back, and he's kind of more back to being his chubby kind of stuff Doc Ock, but he's formed new arms based on like this green goop. And Peter has been saved, both Jameson and Peter have been saved by his original arms. And this one is Peter. Oh my God, is Peter using the arms to attach to his spine and use it to fight Doc Ock. And it's funny because apparently when he attaches the arms to himself, he starts talking like Doc Ock, like he starts calling people dolts and stuff. And eventually he realizes, how do I get these off? And he has to promise the arms, don't worry, we'll still be friends, but we can't be doing this because you're making me too much into like Octavius. And so it's fun to see one eight-legged hero fight eight-legged villain. So yeah. And again, it's Ed McGuinness's art, so it's like Todd Nanook drawing in the kids. It's like he's one of those perfect artists that does Spider-Man right.
Yeah.
Quick correction. This is actually the Amazing Spider-Man annual that came out this week as well.
Did not read that yet. I need to.
This one's about Hallows Eve because her series just finished. So that's why I bought it because I like her story.
No, Hallows Eve. I'm looking to see where that's going to go.
Yeah.
The character's kind of cool. The fact he puts on these masks and becomes the Universal Monsters is kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's very like that. Having that power is pretty cool. Like, she puts on a werewolf mask, it turns into a werewolf. She puts on a ghost mask, she turns into a ghost. Like
that was basically what I always assumed happened when I wore costumes as a kid. So
you try walking through a wall and realize, "Ow, that hurt."
Yeah, exactly.
That was the plot of Halloween 3, right?
Yeah, basically. And then the other one I read was Justice, and I like how these are. I like how they're titling this. That was Amazing Spider-Man, Volume 6, number 30. Now I'm also reading Justice Society, Volume 4, number 5. and this ends I don't know if you guys have been reading, but it basically started off with basically the Huntress from the future coming back to the past to save the Justice Society, where Per Degaton has been going through during history and killing the Justice Society. She ends up meeting Batman, and it's current Batman. So she goes, "Father, it's you." Blah blah blah. Justice Society comes in, helps him defeat Per Degaton, but of course some things have been altered in history. So there's one scene where she's looking at Madame Xanadu and Batman talking, and she kept thinking Batman say he might come with me, but then he's talking to her. He sees her through a window and reads her lips, and basically he's whispering to Madame Xanadu, "She can't stay here." And then so the next scene is all the JSA, and I like how the JSA is like 90s and 2000s JSA, Infinity Incorporated, and newest members like the newest Dr. Fate, and like they have like Wildcat from Infinity Incorporated, Dr. Midnight from Infinity Incorporated.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just a nice mingling of the team, and they're trying to figure out what's going on, and so they're talking to Mr. Terrific, and it's like, how do we figure out what's been changed? And he goes, I don't know. The only thing I want to find out is what do we do about Helena. And he goes, I don't know if we can talk to. And the only person I don't want to go talk to the Time Masters, but they may be the only people we can talk to. And so then you say, Dad, you look over, and there's Jay Garrick's daughter and the android Our Man going, "Hey, if you need some help, I'm here to help you." And so you're like, okay, so this is leading out from the Stargirl Ted Nanook book that we had, and so now we're going to see Jay get to meet his daughter.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
that is cool.
I read the first issue and I liked it. I like the different artists for the different time eras. I think Swamp Thing shows up in the first one.
Yeah, it's because it's funny because it's her and Power Girl in the future with the JSA, where a lot of the characters were killed, but they end up bringing a lot of former JSA villains to be a part of the team.
Right. But it's this book's had so many delays and stuff that I was like, I'm just gonna wait till it's done. Also, it's Jeff Johns, so he's been kind of hit or miss for me. Like, I like when he does stuff with other people, like the Flashpoint Paradox thing that he just did. Like, there was other writers on that. But yeah, I'll definitely check it out once it's done. But I don't know when the next one's gonna come out. So like, I hate to go back and if it's a month, I can kind of put it together. But like, if it's been a couple of months, I'm like, well, I need to reread all this stuff, especially with all the timelines. It gets very complicated.
And then the only other thing I did is I finally got to watch Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
I need to do that. So it's on Disney Plus?
Yep, it dropped like 2 days ago.
Which is weird because I got my Blu-ray this week. Yeah, I got the same one, and I'm like, why would you put out the Blu-ray the same day it's on Disney Plus? That feels like, give it a week or something.
I think they're still trying to figure out
the whole streaming.
Like,
yeah.
Well, yeah, and the whole like kind of post-COVID like release scheduling stuff. So
show it to us again, Clay. Show us the steelbook.
I was going to say I've got like here's the first steelbook.
Nice.
Volume 2, Volume 3.
Nice.
I will say this: now having heard the soundtrack for the movie, I'm definitely picking this up on vinyl. Like he did an outstanding job on the freaking soundtrack for the movie.
I will also say the only time in the past 30 years I wanted to buy audio cassettes is to get the Zune soundtrack. They look amazing, and I miss my Zune so much. I was a Zune guy, and I loved it. So
you would be a Zune guy.
I would be a Zune guy. Yeah, no, I totally agree. That's not an insult. That's a badge of honor. So
I'm not going to say anything bad. I'm not going to say any spoilers for the movie, but I love that opening scene. It opens up with Rocket on one of the steps in nowhere, and he's listening to the Zune, and he's actually singing to the music. I'm like going, when you have Rocket going and singing to the music, it's like, okay, that they've evolved into the family unit that they're supposed to be.
Right.
So,
yeah.
And I listened to the commentary track with James Gunn while I did some painting because I had some Star-Lord guns that.
Nice. Look at that.
This one I'm still working on, but his commentary is just so good because it wraps up everything. It wraps up everything that he's been working on, and he's just so close to these characters. Like he breaks like 3 times during the commentary and just starts to cry. Or chokes up a little bit.
I almost teared up myself at like 1 or 2 points. But did he mention anything about that last scene where it says the legendary Star-Lord will return? Has he mentioned? Oh, sorry. It's not a scene. It's a fucking still they have at the very end. Again, like at the end of Thor.
Like
will return. It's
like a title card kind of thing.
Yeah, that's all it is. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it just says legendary Star-Lord will return.
And I'm like, sure, Marvel.
Until they pay the writers and the actors, nobody's gonna return nowhere.
I know.
So.
I wondered. I thought. Did he make any comment to that, or?
I mean, he does talk about it. Yeah, because he did. The guy, as problematic as Chris Pratt is, there are things that James Gunn just loves about the guy, and they're really good friends. So he just is so positive, and when he talks about him and Star-Lord especially.
I saw a thing, and this is tangentially related to nothing else, but I saw a meme that said that Zachary Levi is the guy that we all think Chris Pratt is. So like, because he was he was talking some nonsense about the strike this week at a convention. Like he says it's dumb that he can't promote his stuff, and I'm like, well, it's like Stephen Amell already put his foot in his mouth this week, and then
both
he does the same. But there's other stuff about Zachary Levi that I'm like, maybe we don't need any more Shazam.
I will say this, and it's like a slight thing on Amell, not because of what he said. But after watching a couple clips for the new season of Heels, I almost kind of wanted to get Stars just to watch that one series, because they showed a clip where they have both CM Punk and his wife and they're doing like a scene, and I'm like, okay, this looks kind of cool.
The show's okay. I think it's not as good as last season.
Okay,
I'll say that because I have been watching. I watched the first. So here's how I tell you that it's only okay. I watched the first episode, and then I watched the second episode, but I stopped in the middle because like I just started playing on my phone.
That's it. And then gauge if it's good or bad.
Yeah, right. And then I haven't finished the second episode.
I don't know, because I'm one. You know me and my love for Cobra Kai, and I have other friends like, yeah, I just couldn't get past season 1. It's like, Try again.
Only because you mentioned Shazam, I had this thought the other day in a COVID fog. I'm really worried about Blue Beetle, and not that it's going to be a bad movie. I think it's going to be really good, but DC has not had a successful release this year.
Yeah,
Shazam bombed, Flash bombed, even though we loved it, right? I'm really worried about Blue Beetle because that movie deserves a push, and it deserves,
especially now that they can't, like, no one's out promoting it anymore, right? And
exactly, right.
On top of everything else, like, all that stuff's happening. So yeah, I'm a little worried as well. Hopefully it doesn't mean that they won't bring the character moving forward, because I think that'd be a shame.
That would be a shame.
Yeah.
And it would look really, really bad for Warner Brothers. But as we've seen, they could give 5 fucks about it because, what did Zaslav say? Oh, we saved $100 million because of the strike. What a dick.
But like when you say you're saving, like that's because nothing else is coming out, so you're going to keep saving.
Yeah, right.
Nothing to show for it.
You didn't save money. That'd be like saying, like, well, I didn't pay my electricity bill for 3 months, but so I saved money. Like, no, you didn't save money. You just haven't paid out that money. Anyways, all right. Josh, what do you got? I mean, other than COVID, what do you have?
Yeah, so I've had COVID, so this week, so I haven't been to the shop. From last week, I read only yeah, so true. I read only one book, which was Pathfinder Wake the Dead issue 2. Speaking of fantasy comics, really fun. It's a fun series. It's weirdly gross. I think because of where they set the issue. Let's just say there is a scene with a giant, what would you call it? Like a giant blood mill that they have to run over. So I don't know. It's good. It's fun. It's a great series. Gen Con is happening right now. Lots of news is coming out, not just about Pathfinder and from Paizo, but all the game companies.
Yeah.
Good.
I was just gonna say, I don't know if you saw the Disney Lorcana trading card game is like on fire, and somebody stole like $35,000 worth of merchandise too.
Yeah, and actually, I just saw a headline before we went live. Was it Wizards of the Coast came out and said they didn't get any Lorcana stuff. We're okay. I think it was mainly Magic the Gathering, but
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, other than that, let's see. The main stuff I've done this week is, again, I've had COVID. I watched some old TV. I laid in bed with a fever watching C-Lab 2021 because it cheers me up. So I've been calling everybody fig nuts lately. If you've never seen C-Lab 2021
in a while,
go watch it. It's the OG show of the guys that ended up doing Frisky Dingo and Archer. So go check it out.
You finally said a word that I understood when you said Archer.
Dingo?
Archer.
Oh, Archer. I hope you're talking about the same Archer I'm talking about too.
I am. Yeah. And then we are slowly, because again, COVID, but we just watched episode 3 of Good Omens season 2 last night. I needed that episode. I was kind of a little lost. I didn't quite understand where the season was, what it was trying to do. And once I got to episode 3, it kind of clicked for me. So really enjoying it. I think it was there's always the sophomore slump fear. Yeah. And this one is even exacerbated more by the fact that there was no pre-existing material to draw from. So absolute kudos to Gaiman and the writers and the team for coming up with, I think, a really compelling approach to the season.
Did you see Neil talking about the subtitle issue?
I saw something about it. I didn't see I don't.
Apparently, they did because the writers submit the subtitles from the writing. That's considered work. So they had to create subtitles, and it looks like that maybe they used AI to guess at words. So people have been sending them to Neil Gaiman, just showing how awful it looks.
So you're saying that we don't have to worry about our AI overlords quite yet, right? Yeah.
Not yet.
Yeah, they're just guessing at stuff right now.
And then
if you're watching this on the replay and you got the closed captioning on, who knows what the hell we're saying, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Go back and see how it typed out fig nuts. I'm really curious. Now, the last thing, and I don't have this in the notes, but it just dawned on me. So I was not here last Saturday because I was at the annual Comic Study Society conference, which this year was up in Denton. So I just drove up. Yeah, some really, really, really fantastic panels. There was one panel with a paper that I really liked. It was about the combination of color printing technology and the variations of Green Lanterns, which was really cool. So it was really not about Green Lantern. It was about more the various people that have been Green Lantern as it's becoming more diverse.
Yeah.
And how problematic skin tone is with color printing technology. And that was just fascinating. It was a great talk. There was a really good roundtable with oh God, hang on. I'm trying to bring up my notes here.
It's always hard to remember the knights' names. I agree.
Yeah. Well, there was a great roundtable that I sent you guys a photo from.
Yeah.
Of God damn it, where is it? I just had it at my notes and then I lost it. Hang on. But it was here. It was basically like how to break into comics, but what I loved, because I'm a big fan of newspaper comics, and that's when I dabbled in comics. What I did, it was primarily newspaper cartoonist. So it was Hector Cantu, of course, famous for Baldo, David DeGrand, Kit Lively, and Scott Hilburn. Unfortunately, Janie Traceler was supposed to be there, but she had COVID, and so she actually didn't show up.
And she stayed home. Good for you. Good.
She did, yeah. Thank God. But it was a really, really good roundtable of just them, I think, being very forthright about not just how they broke into comics, but how others can do it as well. So it was just a really great conference. Unfortunately, I had to miss Friday because I was in meetings all day, but I went Thursday and Saturday, so it was good. Looking forward to next year. I missed the announcement where it's going to be, so I need to double check that.
So just real quick for anybody that may not know, what is this conference about?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah. Okay. So the Comic Study Society formed about, I can date it. It started in 2018 as one of the first professional organizations of academics that study comics. Okay. Prior to that, you had, it's not like a new field, but prior to its formation, those that did comic studies were spread out across many different disciplines. A propensity came from English, but you also have media studies. You also have, cultural studies, women's studies, and so on. At the very first conference in 2018, I led a roundtable about where are the art historians, because I had noticed up to that point that the one discipline that had a huge lack of professionals was art history. And so that was my kind of like getting my foot in the door, was leading that panel. So, and stuff has come out of that since, which I've been really happy
I hope
about.
you did your best Batman voice, like, where are they?
No, I kind of wish I had though, and wearing a Batman mask would be really good. So yeah,
where are me? Oh, that's good. Okay, thanks, Josh. That sounds great. Because so what you're saying is this convention is for in a field already full of nerds, which is comics. Yep. These are the nerdiest nerds that not only want to talk about comics but also study them.
Is it a conference where anybody can go, or?
Yeah. I mean, you have to like join and pay to go, but yeah. I mean, I went for fun. I was not presenting this year, so I just as a member I went. But
What's membership?
Hang on, I can tell you. I'll post the link.
That's right. Join your local union, kids.
Yes, exactly. Membership, and you do get the journal inks out of it, which is great. Membership is if you are an independent scholar, contingent faculty, comics professional, it's like $52 a year. Okay. It's not bad at all, actually.
He's Calpedia.
So
I'm also a teacher, so it's like, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, even they use the 52, huh? So DC Comics doesn't have exclusivity to that.
Okay, right. I can wait one serious. Yo, guys, mark it to 55.
That's awesome. Here, I will post that in the Discord, man.
All right.
They just rounded it out to $1 a week.
That's, you know what? Actually, that would work. I would that would sell me on it. So
for the price of a cup of coffee,
and at your not even that for one fourth of a cup of coffee
at your local gas station.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
And even then, coffee, man, prices have gone up for everything. Even at the old 7-Eleven.
Well, and to your point is last thing I'll say. But to your guys's questions, there were at least 2 papers I saw I saw there where they were scholars from other areas who were just so delighted to be there to talk about comics. So one was like she was a biologist who teaches a lot of classes on like agricultural production, and she gave a presentation about, I'm gonna blank on the name, damn it. Shit, it's gone. Anyway, there was a like a humorous dark horror comic, I think from Image many years ago, about a guy that was growing human body parts out of plants.
Oh, yeah.
I knew one of you would know it.
It's from Image.
Yeah,
it's from the same guy that did Chew, or one of the.
Yes, it is. Yeah. It's
Farmhand.
Thank you. That's it. Yeah, and so she gave a paper on that. There was an historian who works, I think, mainly on American history that gave a paper on comics. So it's that great kind of open collaborative spirit that I think is really great.
That sounds fun, actually.
Society. Yeah.
No, I wish I had known, because I would have gone too.
Well, I'm sorry. I should have told you guys. So
no, it's all right. I mean, we're not as professional. Well, I guess Kyle is a professor, but I would just go as a spectator. I would be to bring a flag.
And you should. I highly encourage it. It's a really great way to see.
It's not going to be local next time.
Yeah, I know. That's the problem. So
road trip.
It's okay. We'll take a next issue van trip. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
Before I let Clay talk about the other stuff, I just want to. This is one more comic related thing. News that came out this week. Image Comics is joined Simon & Schuster in exclusive North American book market distribution deal.
I saw that. So does Diamond have anyone left?
I mean, they have a lot of the other indie publishers, but I like that all these comic publishers are like, we should shop around. It shouldn't be a monopoly. Right. We should go. Now, hopefully,
we've only done this for decades.
Although I can see, like, talking to Richard in my shop, I do worry for shop owners. It's getting problematic because, like, you know, when Penguin is behind on sending the Marvel stuff,
right?
He doesn't have Marvel stuff that week, right?
Yeah,
so it's like you go to the shop and you have all the other stuff except this big gaping hole. So
that's definitely a concern. I know. Sean has had some issues with Lunar. That's my shop Sanctuary. Like this week, they didn't have any indie books yet on Wednesday when I went. Wow. I think they eventually got them, but yeah. So that I think hopefully that they can work out the kinks. Hopefully this doesn't mean they get some kind of middle management company in between.
Yeah.
Because then that just kind of turns into the board game industry where it's like there's the the production companies and then there's the retailers and there's like distributors in the between. But yeah, I mean, suck it, Diamond. You had your chance. So here we have previously Diamond exclusive. Image will join now Viz Media, which is the manga publisher, Boom Studios,
wow.
and many other graphic novel publishers at Simon and Schuster. So Boom is already over with Simon and Schuster,
Okay.
but they will continue to distribute in the UK market through Diamond. So
now, I am also curious if, it seems like once Marvel partnered with Penguin, and those are two powerhouses, I get that. But we started getting like those Penguin editions, right, of Spider-Man, of Black Panther, and Cap.
yeah.
So I wonder if we're going to see similar partnerships with whoever's partnering with Simon and Schuster for things like that.
I think so. I think a lot of these books that have come out recently have been like meant to be a graphic novel, but they obviously are putting it out in single issues because that's just the way the comic market works.
Okay.
But Simon and Schuster sees that opportunity as like, oh, we could be publishing all those trades and hardcovers and stuff and exclusive editions for like book retailers and all that. So I don't know. It'll be interesting. So we'll see. But I think overall, Simon and Schuster, I've never heard anything terrible about their public as a company. So, but
Simon's great. Schuster was an asshole.
Yeah.
So all right, Clay, you got a couple more things.
Guardians. I started watching this movie on Shudder called Last and First Man. It is mind blowing. I mean, but it's simple. It's weird. It's based off a sci-fi story from the 1930s.
Oh,
about the lifetime of humanity. And the book's like 300 something pages. The movie is like 90 minutes, and it's done by a composer. This is the only movie he ever directed. It's got this wild ass music in the background, and it's just voiceover of Tilda Swinton as they have compacted the story into a 90-minute tale. And it's just video of World War II monuments at different paces.
Wow.
As I explain it, I put 3 people to sleep, but it is an interesting movie. And even if you just put it on for the vibe, exactly. The Tilda Swinton voiceover is just, her voice is so good at this.
Oh yeah.
But it's them describing men's evolution or humanity's evolution to the stars and how they become more than what they are that they start with. It's real weird because they explain like the different evolution steps to get to like, I think there's 16 generations of humanity that have evolved from the basic man. It's just wild and out there. I hadn't heard about it. It had come out a couple of years ago, but it's called First and Last Man or Men.
Now I understand. So it looks like you watched this. You've gotten to the end of Shudder. You watched everything, and that's why you've canceled it.
Yeah.
No, Joe Bob's hinted that this is his last go around with Shudder. Like they may not be back. The AMC had a bunch of layoffs, and the people they laid off were the people that were curating Shudder. Because they're bringing in the good films at certain times. They're getting stuff for Joe Bob to be able to do. So the rights really matter on what they get. But Joe Bob being a critical piece to Shudder is why I keep it, because the live shows are fun as hell. Like Joe Bob goes into depth about movies, and they're so amazing. You're going to watch stuff you've never seen before, and he's going to give you an education about the history of it.
Hey,
and like he finished off this season with Day of the Dead, and it was just fucking awesome.
I mean, come on, Clay. You still got Slaughterhouse to look forward to.
That did look amazing, though. I canceled Shudder because I just don't know if Joe Bob's going to be back. And if you don't have anything extra to your service, then I can watch all these films on Tubi for free.
Right.
I mean, most of them are there for free, but it's the pieces like Joe Bob and the people that curate it that know what's good that matter. They may have a few films that are hard to find. They bring in a lot of European stuff, a lot of They just started bringing in some horror anime, but now I feel like it's going to fall apart because they just don't have the same people curating it. And I never got interested in anything on Apple, so I ended up canceling after 3 months because I haven't watched it in a month.
Wait, did you not watch Ted Lasso?
We haven't even sat down to watch it because it was just like, it's not that.
Watch Mythic Quest. You got to watch at least Mythic Quest.
Quest is good. Yeah, actually, it's really good.
You got to watch that one at least.
Yeah, and it's just kids sitting down to commit to a whole series again. I would rather do it with. I've been revisiting more series because, like Stranger Things, I could put Stranger Things on and do a lot of stuff, and it puts me in that headspace that I really enjoyed that show. 80s.
Why watch? Music. Yeah, why watch a new show when you can have Infinity War in the background again?
Exactly, man. I want to hear Cap give the speech. I want to hear Rocket mock, Ant-Man at the table.
We don't trade lives here.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'll watch that 3 times a week. I don't give a shit. I love fucking Infinity War and Endgame, but God, now with Guardians, like I could sit and watch the whole Guardian series with the holiday special, Infinity War, and Endgame, and feel like I'm 12 years old again and just having a blast. Like those movies are so great and so fun. I spend all the time there. I don't need new content. I don't need it because that's the best of the best.
Nice.
People on Earth only live to 50. Are you gonna die?
I love Mantis. I hope she comes back. How To with John Wilson season 3 started. There's only been 1 episode, and I got to tell you, the way I sold it to these guys was, it's about finding a bathroom in New York, public toilets, and halfway through the show, he ends up at Burning Man. Halfway, like it is. I love the show. I know they're not a fan, but I loved it and I laughed, and this is probably the best episode of the first 2 series was this premiere. Gemstones I'm giving a second chance to because Mark just swears by it, and I'm really enjoying watching John Goodman in it.
It's really good.
Yeah, he's fucking awesome.
John Goodman's good. Danny McBride's really funny. What's her
Danny name? McBride is Danny McBride. Like,
yeah.
He's just a little off of each character.
See, I'm not right. I don't like him.
Oh, yeah, I think all the shows that he did with that he's doing for Vice Principals and the baseball, what's it called? The Eastbound and Down.
Eastbound and Down.
Yeah, like I like all those a lot. I think they're really, really funny. And then John Goodman is such a great comedic actor, and I don't feel like he gets enough for that, and just because he's also like really good in other stuff. But like he's the reason I still watch The Conners, right? Like that sitcom. Even though the sitcom, it's a bad sitcom, but like John Goodman's really funny in it.
That's what made me rewatch the show, and you can see a Kenny Powers type character, in one of his sons in the way that Danny McBride plays him, because he's an asshole who just feels like he deserves everything because his dad was a big time preacher.
And as someone that's never been to a mega church, I find it hilariously entertaining.
Yes.
It's scary as fuck, man. Scary.
I will say just one last compliment for John Goodman, because I know he's watching. If you haven't seen Cloverfield, 10 Cloverfield Lane, oh man, that dude has range.
Dude, that maybe his best film.
Maybe. I don't know. I love the Flintstones, but I haven't seen that in a long time.
Hey, King Ralph reference.
Look, let's not forget his breakthrough. If we're talking range, his breakthrough role in Barton Fink. All right, if you've never seen Barton Fink, you should go watch it.
Coen Brothers.
His brief stint in the Community as well.
Yes, he's so. Oh God, as the
I
air
think-
conditioning dean.
Let me make a note to we'll do a John Goodman show in the future.
That'd be good.
Oh hell yeah, Revenge of the Nerds.
Yeah.
Oh God, I forgot
He was the
in that.
coach in Revenge of the
Oh
Nerds.
shit, that's right. Okay.
He's in True
Yeah.
Stories.
Now he's so good in that. That's like,
Oh,
like an early role, like very
Yeah.
early.
Wasn't he raised in Arizona?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's one of the criminals. That's right. I forget he worked with Coen Brothers multiple times.
Now, before I forget, because it just popped in my head before I got COVID, has anyone else been watching the new season of Futurama?
No.
No.
Oh, it's so good. I mean, for a show that has been canceled this many times and brought back, they just keep
like
getting
that's
the
their gimmick.
band back together and it just works. I don't know how they do it, but they do it. So
I think those Fox animated shows just get canceled and brought back so much.
yeah.
Fox doesn't know how good it has in
Yeah.
animated shows. It really did. It
Fox
has
Well-
Fox doesn't realize how many good shows they've had in the past. They just go, let's cancel it.
yeah.
I think they finally got their shit together with Bob's Burgers. I really feel like that could very well have been a 1 or 2 season cancellation like Family Guy and all the others. And I think hopefully somebody at Fox is just like, just let it run. It needs legs, right? And it did. So
Is anyone watching What We Do in the Shadows, or is it just me?
Nah.
Yes.
I am.
Oh my
Although
God.
we're behind because I've been sick. But
Well,
latest-
let me. What?
I think this latest episode is the funniest one I've seen in
Yes.
a long time.
Yeah, because well, I like the last week's.
with the
Colin
energy
Robinson.
vampire coming back.
The
Energy
candidate.
Vampire
Oh
yeah.
Council.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah, that
Oh my
was
God.
hilarious. And who was playing? I meant to look her up. The main energy vampire like boss.
Oh, that's Martha from Baskets. Did you watch Baskets with Zach Galifianakis?
Oh no. Mm-mm.
It's a special kind of show. I will say watch it mainly for the Louis Anderson performance as his mother,
Mom,
because
right?
he won an Emmy for it. It's amazing, but he plays 2 characters named Chip and Dale, who are brothers,
Of course.
and one of them is a clown, but he is a clown he went to a French school for clowns and comes back to America to be a rodeo clown. Yeah, I know. Like, explaining it is so silly, but Zach tries to do it so serious for a long time that it's just ridiculous, because like there's one part where they like stop down the rodeo so he could do his whole routine.
This sounds like the continuation of that one King of the Hill episode where Bobby studies comedy.
Oh yeah, exactly.
It's so good. But yeah,
God.
Baskets is worth checking out. I mean,
Interesting.
Louis Anderson's amazing in it.
Well,
But yeah,
just
Josh,
go
once you watch the latest What We Do in the Show, let us know in the chat.
all right.
Yeah,
Because I think the last 5 minutes or so, I was on the floor laughing.
Nice. I can't.
Oh.
God, I can't wait. As problematic as last season was, this season seems to have kind of rewrited the ship. So
Yeah.
We rewatched the Property Brothers episode recently.
oh, I do love that one.
It's a
It's
great
so great. Oh, that whole setup just to get the fucking hat. It's wonderful.
Mark and I are going to be reviewing Deranged on my podcast. So we watched it last night, and it is a 70s horror film, and the star of it is the old man from Home Alone, and he is playing an Ed Gein type character, and it is amazing to watch Home Alone after you see this, because this film is the closest to the real Ed Gein murders.
Wow.
And it is horrific. And this dude is on a new level of creepy, and I really enjoyed it. So I'll go into it more on the podcast. But
Here we got a little preview of you watching that movie.
You know, my favorite thing about the movie is like it feels like a movie. It feels like a real like.
I just like seeing Pine's neck tense up when he says that.
I was looking for this one.
Really are the most devious bastard in New York City. Well,
but I saw that
way I
was
pronounce New York City now.
Yeah, well, it's the way my daughter and I pronounce Tucson, Arizona. Because
I need to definitely go back and watch more Matt Berry stuff because he's so funny.
Oh my god! Oh, that was the other COVID show I was watching was IT Crowd. I knew there was another one, and it was mainly for Matt Berry.
Because I've only seen the pilot.
Oh god, yeah, you can.
Right?
Holy shit, Father! You've got it. All right, watch season 1, and just kind of blow through it, and then get to the first episode of season 2, and you won't stop watching.
Is he the boss later?
Yeah, yes.
Okay,
he's ready the boss.
Oh my god,
I've seen clips. Yeah, I've seen clips.
I love the scene. I can't remember who are the two main characters. It's
Moss and
Come on, you were just watching it.
Yeah, but he also has COVID.
Christ.
Yeah,
that's what we don't remember names in this podcast.
He's talking to one of them up in his office. And he goes, "Give me a $20 bill." And he takes it over and just throws it out the window. And he's like, saying, "Money means nothing to me."
Yeah,
Roy and
I'll paycheck.
God, it's so good.
All right.
I just have one other film I want to recommend from Netflix because I really loved They Cloned Tyrone.
Yeah.
It is blaxploitation meets sci-fi. Don't look up anything on the film. Just watch it because there's a big bad that showed up at the end that I was like so happy to see in the film. But it's crazy. Like, and Jamie Foxx, man, is hilarious in it.
It's
like,
with John Boyega, right?
John Boyega, and then Captain Marvel. She's in it.
Oh,
Neil Larson?
No. I mean, Photon. The actress. I can't think of her name.
I can't either. I can see her.
They're playing like a drug dealer, a pimp, and a prostitute.
I just go that way.
Oh yeah, Monica Rambeau. But it's so weird because the first part of the movie is like real blaxploitation type stuff, and then it just turns itself upside down and gets really weird. But I loved it.
I hope the villain that shows up is like Snoke or Kylo Ren or something.
Somehow he came back.
It's John Boyega's old stormtrooper boss, and they fight it out again. So
Captain Phantasm.
Yeah, thank you. I couldn't recall her name.
Her name is Tiana Paris.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Oh, great.
But yeah, they're all three great in it, but the way it unravels at the end is fucking awesome.
All right. Cool. Well, I won't talk about any other stuff or anything, but I will recommend on the channel we have reviews for a really bad movie with John Cena and Jackie Chan called Hidden Strike.
Yeah, I want to see
that. We have reviews for a pretty good Mutant Mayhem, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, and a series on called Full Circle with Timothy Oliphant, which is the only reason I watched it. So we have reviews for all that in the channel, so I won't take up any time talking about it here. So let's move on to the main show. We all dressed up for the gala. Just kidding. We weren't invited. We're not cool enough to go to Krakow.
I left my bow tie in the other room.
I'm kind of glad we didn't get invited, though. I mean, full spoilers for the Hellfire Gala.
I love this book.
Fuck.
Back in the day, I hated the idea of it, but the way it was executed here, I'm a big fan. I loved it.
I want to say Kyle loves it for a different. I think Kyle loves it for a different reason than I love it.
Yeah, no, look it wrong. It was. I mean, the way how did they do like with the villains showing up, the way it's done awesomely. But the fact that it's down with Krakoa is one of my biggest things.
so if you read the issue and are a little confused, I recommend at least reading the X-Men series, the main one, because Jerry Duggan's been writing all that. And also the Iron Man series. So anything Gary Duggan's writing.
That was the one thing I appreciated was because it's not explained in the book, but when the Sentinels show up and they have Iron Man designs, I knew what that meant. Yeah. I knew where that came from.
And Dr. Stasis is so good at just like gloating as a villain. Like he kind of goes back and explains a little bit of like, we've been working with Orcas and we put all these drugs and I think you see an interview with Fei Long, who's the Orcus like main CEO, Tony Stark villain. He's a big part of it in both the X-Men and the Iron Man series. But I made a list, and we can kind of go in a little bit of order. Actually, Kyle, let's talk to you. Yeah, let's talk about some of your highlights, since I know you got to dip out in a minute.
The one I'm really kind of interested to see how they do is Kamala. I mean, that's the fact. That's how. I mean, the opening scene, that issue is Scott and Emma hanging on these vine swings on the Krakoa tree in New York City. Then the next scene is Kamala waking up and you see Xavier going, "Yes, you're a mutant, Kamala." Yeah, see, exactly. It's just like, ooh, yeah.
Yeah,
they every page they're dropping stuff.
Yeah, but what I loved about it, when I first heard about it, I was like, "Fuck you! Why do you have to retcon this shit?" I mean, let's talk about this fact. Now they're bringing mutants really predominantly back in because now that Marvel owns mutants again, they can bring them in. Because originally they were saying, "Oh, like anybody who has powers who didn't get them from like some special way, they're not mutants; they're Inhumans." But now you're saying, I thought they were going to say she's no longer an Inhuman; she's a mutant. But it's like, no, you're a mutant who was an Inhuman first, and basically the Terrigen Mist opened up your powers before your mutant gene power passed. So it's like she's going to have two sets of powers. And I'm going, I'm okay with this.
She's going to be an Omega level mutant, I feel.
Holy shit.
I do hate that they had to kill her in the other book that had nothing to do with her. To get here.
I mean, it seemed. I mean, I get it. It's a situation where it's like, okay, to make this transition, we have to do this thing, right?
Yeah.
It at least worked with the Krakoan concept, right?
Yeah.
We're going to bring her back, sort of thing. But so it's less comic booky than most comic book,
right?
Undoings of deaths, sort of thing. But
I also really love that she so her and Cyclops, not this Cyclops, but teenage Cyclops, were part of the Champions, and that's kind of their relationship. So I love them bringing that back. Like Cyclops is really glad to see her. I don't know how he remembers, because I thought they weren't supposed to remember when they went back.
He just said he goes, that was so long ago for me, but it was like last year for you. Like he just references, like, I think it's 30 years for him.
Yeah, but supposedly when they sent them back to the past, like they weren't supposed to remember anything that happened, because that would mess with the time. Anyway, whatever. Marvel dumbass.
Science.
That's right. But I like that. I like their relationship. That's why I always thought it was weird that she died in a Spider-Man book. That's not even the Spider-Man that she used to be in the Champions with. It's the other one, right?
So, go on, Kyle. Sorry.
No. And then I like how they have him the Gala, and then they introduce this other character named Rasputin, who looks like it's a genetic future resident of Colossus.
Yeah,
and he's got it right there. But then I love this line, which I think is really kind of interesting. She goes, "I know your stories well. An Inhuman, a Muslim, a mutant, a human, a savior of all the tribes." And I'm going, watch Kamala, even though granted they had to kill her, watch her be like this predominant character for the future of the Marvel universe. And I'm thinking that's actually kind of interesting.
It almost feels like they're putting her up like, do you guys remember Nate Gray from the 90s?
Yeah.
Oh,
and how he was kind of the mutant savior.
X-Men.
It feels like they're kind of building her up for that. And hopefully not as tragic.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I like that a lot. So Clay's been reading Sins of Sinister, so he probably has seen Rasputin, or maybe he will.
No, I just read the Nightcrawlers.
Oh, you read only the Nightcrawler. Yeah, that's right. She's in the what's the other one? I don't know. The one about the assassins. I don't remember what it's called.
There was another spinoff.
There's so many. There's so many of those. But yeah, so Rasputin 4 is like she's a chimera. She's got like 5 different mutant DNAs woven into her.
She mentions kind of like the genetic chamber, so it's like she was kind of like not like humanly born.
Yeah. So I think what Sinister was trying to accomplish was to get the 5, all like the Resurrection 5, to get all combined into one being. So like you don't have to do it all over and over again. But anyways, real quick, I want to
ask a question.
Go ahead, Kyle.
No. It's just gonna go ahead.
I was going to go into the next thing. They introduced 2. This is just like a 1-2 page thing. They introduced 2 new characters, Wayne and Dimitri.
Wayne is not new. Wayne is not new.
Wait,
well, they claim it's new.
No, that you know who that is.
Jason Wingard.
Thank you.
No,
I think I think Jason Wingard or a descendant of.
I will bet my Kylopedia reputation that's Jason Wingard from Excalibur days. I will bet.
Interesting.
Oh, interesting.
You're saying specifically him and not a family
It certainly
member?
looks like him.
Yeah, I'm betting that's actually Win, but the way he talks.
But why wouldn't they know him?
Because Alana never met him.
Wingard always masked himself because
yeah.
his real him as a real person looks like Toad and gross and like this kind of dirty old man.
But Jason. Oh, you're right. You're right. Yeah, so Mastermind.
I think you're thinking of the Hellfire Gala guy. That's like, that control.
No, you know what I was thinking? I wasn't even thinking cover. Who was the fucking God damn it, the British agent who was a mutant who had the knife powers? They fell in love with Kitty Pryde for a while.
Pete Wisdom.
That's never mind. I was gonna mix. Jason Wingard.
Oh yeah,
Pete.
Yeah, Pete.
Yeah,
Pete.
Yeah.
I love it when I can help Kylopedia.
Hey, I have my breakdown AOL moments at a time.
So here we have. So Wynn is a powerful magical expert, and this is on the Marvel website. Thanks, Clay, for linking this. Then we also met Dimitri, who's the science boy, Wynn's reckless partner. But we'll see more, right? We'll see a few more. Aiko Maki, who's a royally brutal agent, and then the magical girl Mia and Cubis Core. So this is all going to happen. This is all going to happen in this book that's coming out for this God's crossover thing. It's going to be in so many things. We're going to have to buy so many damn books.
Oh, fuck my life.
Oh, these are just the covers. Okay, so the story is not going to
they're just covers.
Oh, okay, good. Well, I'm going to end up buying a lot of variant covers.
Yeah, because they got them down here. And there's a Moon Knight one.
Oh, that looks cool.
That design.
Oh, damn, that does look cool. Although I hate the holes. I don't know if I have the phobia about the holes, but I have it a little bit. But this must be Mia, the magical girl, just from context. But I'm not reading this Guardians book, unfortunately. I don't like the first issue.
So can I ask a question real quick?
Go for it.
All right. So how many of you have been reading some or all of the X books up to this point?
Probably only
I dropped off. I still bought it, but I haven't caught up on X-Force and also the Wolverine book because those felt really standalone from everything else.
Okay. Even if in tiny bits you've been keeping up.
Yeah.
Did this Hellfire Gala issue feel worth it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's something I said. This is like the one time I felt like the $8 was worth the actual price of the book.
Yes.
Okay.
Because it does feel like a culmination of not everything that's been in every book, but a lot of the stuff that's been building up in all the books. Like I said, especially the one that are Gary Duggan led, but also the Karen Gillan stuff. It's all been leading up to this. I'm still very confused about Dr. Stasis and why he looks like Sinister, but with the Clover
hearts or whatever, the Clover, yeah. Well,
so
I just asked because I realize I'm the outlier here. I hated this book.
Really?
Hated it. Now, I worry that part of that is the formatting of I wanted to see the pages because for me, the pacing in this book was all off. I felt like there was the kernel for a really just heart-wrenching, horrifying story. And everything in it just felt over the top. And I'll give you the moment when I laughed out loud at this. And I realized later I should not be because this was meant to be the big horrifying turn. When Nimrod appears in the group, okay, why is he coming down head first? This makes no sense. You've been orbiting the Earth to attack the mutants and you come down. Where does he go after he plummets into them?
And then Jean uses Juggernaut to throw him out to fight in the actual ocean.
I know, but there's no correlation with it. Every single moment, even down to the moment where I forget who gets. Oh, it's Mystique gets blasted out of of the window.
Charles makes her leave, and I think he makes her kill herself.
Right. What's his face's reaction to that? Like everything what I wanted from this, I think what pissed me off so much is I wanted just a kernel of subtlety.
I love how funny he thinks he is.
Yeah. But
like
just
Nimrod thinks he's hilarious.
A kernel of subtlety. Everything was turned up to 12 in this book.
Oh yeah.
And it just bugged the shit out of me. I really hated it.
They're tearing down Krakoa. This is what I've been wanting for over 2 years. I want them to burn down that fucking island.
See, and here's my other complaint. All right. I realized after I read it and I saw a few headlines, this book was about exactly what you said, Kyle. Like, let's dismantle Krakoa. What the fuck? The whole point of that original book was about rewriting, and I recognize Hickman had a hand in this. Okay, I'm not denying that. But yet again, I get to the end of the book, and when I see Fall of the Mutants, if I had this in print, I would have thrown it across the room. Because I'm like, fucking Hickman, you did something original with the X-Men, and now you're just redoing Fall of the Mutants.
It's been 4 years.
But still, it pissed me off. So I hated everything about this book. I just hated it. I was furious reading it.
I want the X-Fans pissed off. I want them to be someone they're going to be like.
I mean, and the other moment I got so angry was the absolutely, and again, there were so many hands in this book that I don't know if maybe, because I know Duggan is a good writer. I'm reading Iron Man. I really like it.
Yeah.
But I feel like every bit of subtlety was stripped out of this book. And it just, the really awful moment when, again, I forget the character's name, is telling, he's setting the stakes for Charles. And he's like, the first time we see one mutant, we're killing one person. The second time we're killing 10. The third, we're killing 100. Do you understand what the power of 10 means? And I was like, come on, that is the worst reference to one of the titles that set this whole thing.
That's funny.
The whole thing, I was so angry, even down to the fact that when Kitty falls through the gate, I'm like, well, I saw that coming. Like, nothing. I hated it so much. And I knew I was going to be the outlier here. I knew it.
On that note, I got to get going.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry, man.
I love that. I love the fact. I'm just like, yes. All right. I'll see you guys later.
All right. You take care, Kyle.
See you guys.
Oh,
I think a big part of it is definitely the presentation, because so what we're talking about, just to fill you guys in, when you redeem this book with the digital code, it gives you an infinite comic version of the story, as opposed to just like a normal, like, the normal way you can see it with the guided view and all that.
And you can't.
I hope this isn't a thing. Now, from all the books I redeemed this week, none of them had the same issue.
Okay.
So I wonder if that was just a one-off thing, because it doesn't. I mean, there's a reason that, and there's so many artists in this book. There's like 10 different artists in this book.
Oh yeah, tons of people, and I'll say as well, I think that also affected the book. There were huge shifts in like style and approach, and I a lot of the artists on it, no offense, because there are some people on there I really love. A lot of the artists I did not like. Again, I feel like they're like, oh, I'm just gonna. This character is yelling, just like.
Yeah. Well, I mean, now, Josh, to be fair, have you ever seen the Met Gala? Is there any subtlety left there?
True. But the Gala stuff, none of that bothered me. I really liked it. I liked seeing the outfits. None of that bugged me. It was really truly the moment that Nimrod appears and the story starts happening that I just lost interest. I was just
they also picked these are some of the most out there villains for the X-Men, right? Is Nimrod, you have MODOK, Dr. Stasis.
And I was confused. Why is that not the variation of MODOK we got in the Captain America storyline? Like, if for the first time in a long time, it felt like there was finally a shared Marvel universe, so they were tying together. But then the MODOK confused me.
Yeah, that's weird because MODOK's been around in the X-Men title for like a little while now.
Oh, really? Okay.
He's been in the periphery. Yeah, he was in the I think maybe issues he's introduced early on, like issue 11.
Okay.
So I will say, I think because you hadn't been reading some of these series, like the fallout with Moira, that's the biggest piece, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't understand that at all.
I am so confused.
So she in Inferno, when they redid Inferno, that's about Moira leaving the X-Men because she figures out. So when Destiny comes back, that's why she didn't want Destiny around, because she knows that there's more nefarious things that happen, and it builds a little bit of doubt between Magneto and Moira and Xavier, who had been overall leading this. Then we also lost Magneto during Judgment Day, right? So like all the pillars that were holding up the X-Men have been falling or deteriorating. And then with the last thing, with the Sins of Sinister, even that, all the people in the council, they think they still may be corrupted by Sinister, because he corrupted all the DNAs of the people that were coming back, and they purged it. They think so. This has been building
from the Nightcrawler's book that his DNA was causing problems, but then Nightcrawler was infusing his DNA and it was cleansing it.
Well, so here's I'm sorry, Danny, go ahead.
Yeah, just the last thing. So to me, this felt like the culmination of years of me reading these books,
and that's why I wanted to ask that question. Yeah, because I was only reading it from the perspective of when this all rolled out with the Hickman reboot,
right?
And it as just a comic, as a thing. So I don't know if you heard me totally go off, Clay, but I hated this book.
I heard you hated it.
Okay,
so step away,
but the other thing that really bugged me with it is I felt like, and it didn't strike me till the end of it. And again, I don't know if maybe Duggan had his hands tied because this is such a clearly a big pivotal book.
Yeah,
the narrator in this book is absolute shit. It is all telling, not showing.
Yeah.
And I just, by the end of it, I'm like, this is awful. Like, show me what's happening. Why do you need, okay, so the page that is the one sole page that goes back to those text pages in the original run. Yes. Explaining the red triangle. I hated it. I hated it because don't explain it. Just show it, which they had already been doing. And then you explain it again with the character. I'm just like,
no, see,
what the fuck?
I've learned after years of reading these books, I just skip those.
Yeah, I do the same thing. I feel like it would have been a great page of art, but they're going to just fill it in with this shit because it was the style, and it'll be the Krakoan style, and then be done.
It felt like Duggan trying to do Hickman when Hickman did those in the original run, and it is unnecessary. It's a bad choice. It ruins the pacing, and it provides nothing. And to me, so much of how this was constructed, particularly with the narrator, felt like that. Again, I know I'm looking at it as almost like an art object, right, to a certain degree, because I had nothing else to go off of. But I was so angry when I got done with this book. Maybe that fueled my recovery. I don't know, because I feel great today. But
you just feed on anger.
Drugs.
Yeah.
I can understand that. I mean, I have not enjoyed the Krakoa era. I enjoyed Powers of X and House of X when that came out.
Yep.
It seemed like a great setup, but then it was like, here are 12 books you have to read, and that just fucking like, no.
Same thing, I know. So for me, this book dismantling all of that is the polar opposite of what you just said, Danny, which is this felt like the culmination of everything they've been setting up for years. And I can see how on one hand, I'm the wrong audience for this book, right? So here's a terrible comparison, but it's the only thing that comes to mind. Danny, you are the person who watched Usual Suspects from the moment the film began. I'm the person that walked in the last 5 minutes, and I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? Right?
yeah.
It's terrible storytelling. So,
I mean, but they should have things that stand alone, but it's hard to, because it became such a hard sci-fi book. I mean, they were evolving to another level. They were creating their own religion. They were now immortal, and that was pretty much all I knew kind of going into this. And so I knew at one point, like, I guess Sinister had clones of himself. Is that what this guy is?
Oh, maybe
So
that is.
That part I'm confused on, because I don't think I've read the book where Dr. Stasis comes into play.
Yeah, see, so to me, they're just like new characters that I have to research. I mean, like, I remember as a kid, I'd read a book and like a character would show up that I didn't know, and I'd go, oh, well, this is a cool chance to understand who it is, maybe find some old books and read about him. Like, that's how I discovered like characters like Deathlock and stuff from just like that didn't have their own series or any history that I could find. But like with this, it's so ingrained in X-Men in every series, it's like tough to try to understand all of it. I just knew what the Gala was, that they were putting a new team together, the concept that the Gala was the purpose of the team, and the team and
which
what
is
they
cool
were gonna do for the world.
I do like that. Yeah.
You know, there were things that I loved like that. You know, like now is a cool thing to announce we have an X-Men team, who it is, and why we have it. Plus having Juggernaut show up at the end, but then the next page just ripping them all apart. Like, this played off really fun comic stuff I love like that.
Okay, and the other thing, I hated about this book, sorry, is again going back to the founding of this era, right? One of the things I thought was brilliant about what Hickman did in House of X and Powers of 10 was rewrite the notion about humanity fears mutants. And this book just goes back to the status quo.
Yeah,
humanity hates mutants, which is, I will remind you, the kernel of the original Fall of the Mutants. And I'm like, Hickman, you did one original thing, and now you just want to let them do Fall of the Mutants again. It makes no sense.
But this is the true mutant massacre. People in this one really go. And
yeah, no, that's true.
What I kind of love, because it's bodies and everything. You hate Nimrod coming in head first. I love it because it's like he's a robot. What the fuck's he got to protect his head for? You know, just come in and smash everything, kill people, and then you go, well, wait a minute. Now you have like the Juggernaut and being used as a weapon to throw, and it's like you start getting into the science of like an immovable object.
Now, I did really like the one touch I thought was kind of brilliant was using the Krakoan medicine for humanity against them. I thought that was a brilliant idea. That is absolutely terrifying. Yeah, fuck you, MODOK.
MODOK just shows up and is just the most evil motherfucker. Like, he can be like the butt of jokes, but he's also just wicked, evil, smart, and just goes, how can I just turn this into like where I'm holding everyone basically for ransom?
And I was very excited about this roster, actually, because I like all the characters, right?
Yeah, it was an interesting. That would have been an interesting team
because you haven't been reading. So we have Talon, who is the Laura Kinney that spent like 500 years in the vault in H. So there's 2 Laura Kinneys out right now, which Josh would have no idea about.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah. I saw, I think, in one book where they were teamed up together, and that was the only way I knew who she was.
And then Sync, who can get anybody's powers. Here, let me.
But the redemption for Juggernaut.
Yeah, that was cool.
I mean, I loved when he joined the X-Men back in the day, and like he was really trying to become a good person, and he had always been compared to his brother. Like he was just struggling with that so much, and he had there was a Mer kid that he was like friends with. That really kind of drove his purpose in being a good guy, wanting to be a good hero. But to see him get to be picked for the X-Men here and then just destroyed on the next page and then used as a weapon is just wow.
We have Cannonball. Frenzy. I'm not very familiar with Frenzy.
I didn't know.
Dazzler, who I love.
Dazzler is cool.
Dazzler looks amazing.
I didn't even know that was her until they said her name. I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. Yeah.
Jubilee, which like about time, but then you killed.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah. No, she went out hard.
She did. Yeah.
She was like split into two, but she went out telling him off at least.
I mean, just the bloodbath. I mean, honestly, I kind of wanted a splash page, a 2-pager of bloodbath.
Yeah.
But I guess. Oh, sorry. Go on.
No, what's your question, Josh?
No, it's not. I was just like the stuff you're saying you appreciated, Clay, about just how violent it was. I would have appreciated more if it hadn't been so over the top. Like it just every panel is just someone screaming, and it's just like, oh my god, can we like just bring it down a little bit? Just turn the dial down just a notch.
That's what I was gonna get to next. So
the Bobby, that was rough. That was the one moment that worked for me. Actually, was Bobby's death.
Yeah, because to me, he's always been like the youngest X-Men and just a kid.
Well, his partner was there. I mean, watching him die, I mean, that's awful.
And then knowing that, reading this, knowing that there was an astonishing Iceman book coming out the next week,
right?
I was like, what does this mean? Like,
nothing. It means it's comics. That's the thing that's frustrating. Is like, can we talk spoilers for the Iceman book?
Sure.
So he comes back in the first issue, obviously, because his partner runs and leaves, and with all his sorrow and everything, wants to see him again and recreates him from love.
He's his mutant ability is like what do you call it?
He's an Omega level mutant, but has never been able to do that until the Krakoa era.
Yeah, it's about empathy. He's an empath, so he's able to gather any remnants of Iceman, of any ice he's ever manipulated from the world. And then he also, Iceman had this like fortress in Antarctica, so obviously there's a lot of ice there that he's manipulated. So with his empath powers, he was able to rebuild a kind of like it's not, what do you call it, a token or like a
shell. Like
it's him, an avatar for Iceman.
Yeah,
but it's not Bobby. It's parts of Bobby, but it's not all of Bobby. It's weird.
Not a fan of the book, but I don't think the book's written for me. It's I'm not a fan of how they changed Bobby, but that's for someone else to write. And they it's his love story and him coming back from death, but
kind of, I wonder how that's gonna play out.
I just didn't dig it. Like, and the way that they're traditionally resurrected, I guess at this point we've lost everything. Because that's what I was kind of curious about, because there's one part in the book where Professor X takes off his helmet and they're like, oh, he like gazed his pure eyes upon you, because
it's that Kamala, right?
Yeah.
Because he takes his, and I feel like that is specific to this story, because at this moment that he's not backing up anyone, because that's Cerebro that he backs up everything to.
And
except their death. Like he never lets anyone relive their death mentally.
When he made everybody go through the gates, they don't know if they came out anywhere.
That's so there are these questions after this, right? What was the poison on Moira's blade? Where did they actually go? Now, what's scary is Charles said, I can't sense them anymore. So that's his proof that they're dead.
He's like, they're all dead.
Yeah,
that's Pepe Larraz. That's one of the artists that I did recognize.
That was what his stuff was great. And then there's a moment right before they announced the new team. Oh man, where it's another artist I like a lot, and it's only like 2 or 3 panels, but it was great art. But the rest are
it's a little jarring going from one to the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I mean,
I
would
feel
have
bad.
read a Tabula Rasa book.
Yeah. And so they and then Moira kills Jean, but I like that Jean takes the time. Like, she's so powerful. Oh, I love that she embeds Firestar.
That was awesome.
Into Orcus as a double agent, but nobody else knows, right? And they actually touch on that on X-Men 25, because now Shadowcat, one of her, and this is a slight spoiler, one of her things that she feels like she has to do is kill Firestar because she betrayed the X-Men. Because nobody knows, right? I don't even know if Firestar knows, or if there'll be like a trigger that will bring her out of, like, I don't know how that's gonna play out.
So yeah, because she says she doesn't know how to find them. Like, she's very confused by how she is a double agent.
Yeah. So I have a question. I chose my name today because I didn't understand any of the point where Jean tells Firestar just choose Beast as the one that you betrayed, right? She had to have someone that was evidence that she had turned. And Jean tells her pick Beast. So there was an implication something had happened, and Beast isn't there. So
no, Beast has been. So that's the book I'm now reading. That's X-Force.
Okay.
And I don't know what the fuck is going on with Beast. I just know that Marvel hates Beast, and anything bad that happens is gonna happen to Beast.
But why? He's so great.
I love Hank, and I understand Dark Beast, but I thought that was because Dark Beast came from the Age of Apocalypse.
That was my theory, and I haven't read this, and I don't know if this will pay off, but my theory was that a while back, Dark Beast replaced Hank, and either people know, and that's why they're like they finally find out, and that's why they've been treating him like shit and doing all this stuff to him, or they don't know, but like this bad stuff, because that's not what Beast would normally do. Like, his actions would not be what he's doing, because Beast has been going down a dark path for a long time, almost very similar to like the Ultimate Universe Reed Richards that turns into the Maker, where it's like he says he's doing things for the good of everyone else,
but it's that line and cross.
Yeah, like things get shadier and shadier the more he does them. So,
Wolverine fighting, like, just why one page? Why one page?
I know, but that's another moment. Okay, look at Wolverine fighting, and then look at the narration.
Yeah. Elsewhere.
Yeah, so
that just describes Wolverine fighting. I'm like, we don't need that. We don't need it.
I'm also not caught up on his book, but I feel like he asked to take a step away from Krakoa and the mutants, and that's why he's off on his own. So I don't know how that's gonna play out with him. Cyclops is I love Cyclops. It felt very Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, when he changed out of his outfit to the Gala to into his uniform to go like take care of whatever emergency happened. Yeah, very cool.
I love that he's wearing his 90s suit. I love that Wolverine's wearing his brown suit. Like, I know it's like, at first I kind of trashed the Gala for all the fashion stuff and the changes and everything, but then I realized I talk about all the different costumes they wear as much as anyone else. So it's like, that's fashion.
We all just want to dress up characters in our favorite outfits.
Right? Yeah.
I think overall, if society wasn't built on the patriarchy, we would all have been playing with Barbies and dressing up all our favorite toys in different outfits. Yeah.
I would put pants on MODOK.
How dare you, sir? How dare you?
And Hank.
Yeah. So let's see. So what are the other lingering mysteries?
So
right?
There are.
Can they bring anyone back?
Around. Yeah, there's still a few X-Men scattered around, right? So we know Wolverine's off somewhere. Cyclops has been captured. Nightcrawler, he's off to be Spider-Man.
That made no sense to me.
That's also part of his book.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah.
It looks like it's going to be more fun than the Nightcrawler's book, which was so heavy, because that book was like, the first one was supposed to take place a year after, then 10 years, then 1,000 years. So it was like this history of genetics. So every time you picked up each issue, just went forward so far.
And then we have that small
stuff.
we have this small group of mutants that is able to leave because they resisted Xavier. So Emma, of course, like we know she's gonna get married to Iron Man somehow.
Emma's gonna Emma.
I like that the Kingpin was there because he's married to Typhoid Mary.
Yeah, that was fascinating. But we still don't know what happened to Typhoid Mary.
Right. So
she's
why
she's not a mutant, right?
I thought she was.
Oh, is she?
I think so.
I don't know.
No, I'm pretty sure she is. That's why she was there. Because the Kingpin's been on the run.
Okay. I did like the one scene when after they flee, when I forget who asks Kitty, why is the Blob here? It's like, that's not the Blob.
Oh yeah, that was a good one.
That was good.
We also had this moment when they took an island.
Yeah, and okay, so that was the moment I realized the narration was bugging the shit out of me.
Okay.
It was that exact moment, because I was
not a soul alive knew that she had stolen away and trapped Krakoa's Atlantic Island in her lantern, or why?
That is a weird. So Typhoid Mary is a mutant, but now I wonder if all the narration is because, first of all, you have all these artists working on different stuff, right?
Right.
So you don't know, like Gary Duggan's got a very specific script. You don't know what each of the artists are going to bring back and how, if it's all going to tie in. Also, you have people like Josh that haven't been reading, but maybe they checked out this issue. So like you want to make sure that they don't miss anything. I feel like, sometimes comics doesn't give enough credit to the readers.
Yeah. This one especially.
I'm full on sure Professor X killed her. Like he made her jump out.
Yeah.
Well, but Mystique has a little bit of a healing factor.
I don't know. That's a pool of blood around her head.
She could be making it look like it's a pool of blood.
So, all right.
I mean, with her and Destiny, there's a lot of unanswered questions about how much they know.
Doesn't Destiny have a blade in her forehead? Didn't she get that mask? Like, that's how I remember her from the 80s. She always had like a knife in her forehead.
Oh, I think we've seen her more. Maybe when she came back.
Okay, they took it out. So, all right. So I've got two quick thoughts. One is the only thing that would, redeem the narration in this book is if we find out later it's, a specific character talking, right? And maybe that explains. Yeah, like that explains it a little bit. It's still that's a high bar, but
you have a time traveler there, so maybe she's documenting what happened.
It could be Rasputin.
Yeah, that's true. But then why? Well, anyway, but the other thing is based on what you just said. Oh God, yeah,
I just love Kingpin crushing a head. Just
no,
you don't.
Based on what you just said about the Iceman issue, Clay. Does that mean his partner becomes the new Krakoan way to regenerate people?
Wow. I mean, I don't know.
I don't know, because not all the mutant abilities would work out the same. I mean, this is a stretch for Iceman that he leaves remnants of himself when he controls ice.
Yeah, okay.
You would have to get something that would be air-based.
Yeah, people that maybe mutants that are elemental, maybe that would make sense. But so we also when Rogue saves the professor, she mentions that she's off to rejoin the Unity Squad with Captain America, which I was a big fan of that Uncanny Avengers run that Rick Remender did back in the Marvel Now days. It's always fun to have Deadpool and Captain America in the same team. And Deadpool was the leader for a while.
That's so weird.
Like it was funny in the issues. Like Deadpool had to worry about like where they would meet, like the headquarters and all that stuff. Kind of was on Deadpool. It was a really fun run. I thought it was really funny. And then when we have this mutant contingency at the end, like the last ones, and we get like a little end credit scene, because I don't know if it's on the digital, it reads the same way, Josh, but like
it doesn't.
You get little advertisements for the new Miss Marvel book, the Uncanny Miss Marvel. Is that what it's
I
called?
didn't get that at all. I got like the Fall of the Mutants page, and then you kind of keep sweeping up, and then you get whatever comes next.
See, you get those a little bit of insight.
No, there was like story there after that.
So yeah, then there's the story.
Okay, yeah.
So this follows up. This is immediately followed up by the events of X-Men 25. So that's where if you want to read that. But yeah, man, when I finished it, I was like, oh man, this is crazy. Like I don't know. I hadn't read a comic like that in a long time that left me like since we had read the big reveal on Hoxpox. Was it? I think it was 3 House of X3 where we get the reveal of where they sit on the bench. Yeah.
So what are the chances, do you think? As I sat there after reading it, contemplating what I had just read, and I'm looking over, you get the long like
COVID haze.
Yeah, exactly. Surrounded by used tissues. What are the chances, do you think? Because I was thinking back and just thinking about how much this dismantles everything that Hickman did. When Hickman made that famous proposal at the retreat, where he said he was very nervous about this proposal to completely reboot the X-Men. Looking back now, I wonder, in that proposal was it, and then it all leads to this, the Fall of the Mutants. Because again, think of Hickman, right? I know I shit on the guy more and more, but so much of his stuff leads to, I want to redo Secret Wars. I want to redo Fall of the Mutants. I want to redo this and this. And I wonder if how he sold it to them was, it's going to be a big change, but we're going to get to this.
Yeah, because I don't know how you undo this, because the way I see it is that they had made clones of Moira at save points.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah, so I feel like there may be a place where they can go and kill one of these Moiras and go back to that save point. I mean, they can undo it as much as they want to, but they could also just let it keep playing out and let somebody else undo it at some time.
I mean, this is also very similar to after House of M, that the 198, right? There was only 198 mutants left.
Yeah.
So it's all kind of like, it's very cyclical where they clean the board and then start fresh, or at least they try to start fresh where they can.
Yeah.
Now, is it always done very gracefully? I don't know. Not always, but it's the same. Heroes Reborn, right?
This is anything but graceful.
Heroes Reborn.
Age of Apocalypse, Heroes Reborn, like it's all the same. Like it was all this whole thing that took a while. I'm surprised it lasted as long as it did, because I just looked it up. This issue, the first issue of House of X came out in July of 2019. So that's 4 years ago.
4 years, yeah.
So I'm definitely surprised. And I think originally they had mentioned like Hickman had a 5-year plan. Obviously something changed along the way, because not only did he leave the line, but he also then it's only been 4 years.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
But I like Gary Duggan in charge of the X-Men main stuff.
Yeah.
I like him a lot.
He always was fun. Like to me, the pages that are fun are the ones I'm sure he laid out. Like second page, Miss Marvel. Then we're going to introduce the X-Men. Next page, kill all the X-Men. Like that's the fun stuff for me. I mean, it's comics. We know all characters are going to come back. It's still heartbreaking to see Jean and Scott die and have that still.
Jean at least.
When
Scott in the back of an ambulance.
Yeah.
When Scott, and then he says like, "I can't feel you, Jean, anymore," or something like that. Well, both, right? Both Wolverine and Scott, because they were a throuple.
That was interesting. I liked that when Jean reaches out to Wolverine.
Well, because they've been a throuple since the beginning, right? Remember they lived together in the moon.
Yeah.
Do you remember? Do you remember when they revealed their room layouts and it was like Jean's room in between Wolverine and Cyclops, but they all had connecting doors to each other?
That's right. I forgot about that. Oh my god.
Is that the first in the Marvel universe?
That was the hot tub heard around the world. So, all right. Any last thoughts on Hellfire Gala?
So this came out of the blue for me, and I'm curious, did they really keep this under the radar so that it would strike the way they clearly wanted it to strike, or did they really promote this as a big like
normally the previous Hellfire galas, which we've had a
yeah,
few,
this was like the third or fourth. Oh, I guess fourth.
Yeah, they're more of a celebration, right? Because in the first one they announced like we're the mutants, whatever, we're gonna terraform Morocco. Like it was a big celebration and a new fresh start. Then the last one was kind of it was just really a party. There wasn't a lot. I mean, some stuff came out of it, but yeah, I don't know. This one feels like it was a misdirect of like you're used to this being a big party for the mutants, and obviously it turned into the Slumber Party Massacre here. So yeah, I think there was definitely a big misdirect by our expectations, like by so
I think for me the one thing that I've heard from friends that talk about the way mutants are used to you know show like minorities dealing with certain things, that the House of X has been one for trans people, and important for them to them to show to be a part of the comics community and everything. By killing off so many of them, I mean, that's just really like, I don't know. That's also a hard part to say, because that's like any community you're a part of that you feel in relation to this story. Like, what would it feel like to have the majority of it wiped out or killed in front of you? They're all just like bummers. But that's seems to be what we've done in the last 20 years with X-Men. You've got to kill them all and then start over.
Yeah, I will say I think it is I like still the comparison of like, yeah, the X-Men have always kind of stood in for the underrepresented groups or minorities or whatever, because sometimes these groups do get like they start to succeed and they start to build something, right? And historically we've seen that. And I think there's the Scorsese movie that's coming out, right, about the Native American who tribe that discovered all this oil, and then like all these white people now want to go in and take it. I think it's The Killing of the Flower Moon, I think it's called. Yeah, look into it. It's a lot like that. Or it reminds me of like the community in Tucson that we learned from Watchmen, right? Where it was this affluent African American town that was built and was wealthy. Tulsa, yeah, sorry. Yeah. What did I say? Tucson?
You said Tucson. Tucson, Arizona.
Like it's all these little things where like sometimes these groups do become like affluent and wealthy and they have some power, and then something, but there's always something coming in like looking
white
to
people.
Yeah. Looking to change the status quo back to what they want it to be. So well, I don't know. I thought it was fun. I really liked that the mutants had been kind of like on top of their game like this whole time, but it also leads you to see like how tragic of even within, because one thing I always kind of look at is this is very something I see a lot on Blue Sky, like nobody hates the left more than the left itself.
Yeah.
Like so it just feels a lot like that too. Like sometimes even within these groups there's different opinions that kind of lead to other outsiders kind of take advantage of that. So
yeah, there's always going to be an unrepresented group within that group.
Yeah.
So it's it was, I want to almost compare it to like the One Bad Day with Penguin, how he bounces back because he finds the people who have been disenfranchised by the new regime. So the X-Men can find that disenfranchisement through the regime. I mean, granted, Sinister is just evil because like I used to have a lot of power, now I'm just a part of your gang.
Yeah.
And, kind of thing.
And that's what they did, right? That's how they got everybody on board of this Krakoa plan, like because everybody was disenfranchised and they wanted to change things, and they felt they had the means. So like that was a good pitch to disrupt the industry, disrupt the world. So
there is an interesting kind of character twist I just thought about in this book, which is you can read Xavier's actions in two ways, right? One way is he so loves humanity that he will basically kill his mutants to save them. The other way is he saved humanity because he realized if he didn't, what was going to come out was he's the bad guy. Yeah. So is it a personal self-serving decision, or is it truly his philosophical mission in the world?
You know, I think we should debate that at the next Scholars for Comics.
There you go. I think so. I think you're right.
It'll be class Professor X, prick or not.
And Professor X, how much does he suck?
How much does he? Our first speaker, Kitty Pryde. Professor X is a jerk. Yeah. So I know I shit on this book a lot, but I just want to say that if it hit the way that people who've been reading these X titles since the reboot, like if it hit in a way that everyone is really happy with, then great. It's a success, right? I just, man, walking into it the way that I did.
Yeah. You're like Kitty leaning on the Krakoan gate.
Right.
Yeah. You actually went through.
Yeah, exactly.
But think about that. Like, you're already in the comics world, and you picked up a book and it was still hard to follow because they've made it hard to follow.
Yeah.
Like that's a bummer, because this should be accessible to everyone. But that book got really dense, and like when Hickman gets into it, I mean, it's a great story, but it's a next level. It's not an intro level story for people.
But see, I will. Oh, good, Danny. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say that's interesting because, like, should all comics be like accessible to every like? It's hard, right? Because how do you tell? How do you
not? There's not one X-Men book that is introductory.
Well, we're in the middle of a cycle. I think because we're in the middle of a cycle too. Like,
well, yeah, but like if you take the Krakoan era, there's no intro book. Is there one?
Yeah,
I mean,
no, that's
Powers
true.
of X, House of X.
Right.
But then it's like if you start there, then you branch out into 14 other books to come back to this 4 years later.
Let me make this comparison, because I'll be curious to see what the legacy of this becomes, because I feel like the part of my reaction to this is probably similar to how so many Spider-Man fans hated. Is it One New Day?
One More Day.
Right.
One more day.
Right. Where you had a character that had been evolving in certain ways for years and years and years, and a writer comes in and decides, I want to reboot it back before all that, because that's what fans love, right? Yeah. And that was kind of my reaction to this. Was I loved House of X and Powers of 10. I really loved what Hickman did. And then this comes along, it's just like, fuck it. Right? Let's just sweep it all away. And I'm just like,
but it gives it the reboot option. See, that's the thing, is he wrote in his own out.
Yeah, true. That's a good point.
And so it was interesting because we realized that everything kind of hinged on this one person. And then Duggan goes, well, what if we just make clones of her and make safe spots? Like I kind of love when they can build on that concept. But yeah, I figured it would always become undone at some point. It's just a matter of where.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't, which is on me. I mean,
they could undo it and be in Days of Future Past. They don't know which Moira, if they kill, which timeline they'll be at. Right?
Look, I'm just saying, if we get Fall of the Mutants and Hickman and Duggan come up with an Australian Aborigine whose mutant power is creating portals, I'm fucking out, because because I like it in the original. I don't need it redone. So,
I know. I do hate when they redo it. I would rather them just call it something else.
Exactly. Like
there's only so many names for cool shit.
I mean, that's the problem with people who manage IPs, is they only think, well, they'll remember Mutant Massacre or they'll remember Fall of the Mutants, But
this is specifically a Hickman thing. How many times has Hickman done this? He's done it a dozen times, right?
I want that GOTS acronym to actually be a reference to another thing now.
Shit, I'm gonna have to think about what that is now. So, oh man. Anyway, all right. I'll stop ranting.
All right, I think we're good. Do you have any recommendations?
I got a short one. I know Clay's got one too.
Sure.
I'm just going to go on about the how-to with John Wilson, even though Danny doesn't like it, because this season 3, you don't have to watch the first 2 seasons. It's just a guy telling a story with a video camera, and that's really the essence of the show. And it's funny and silly and bizarre. And this first episode is maybe the best episode of the first 2 seasons was this.
Okay.
And Unbeatable Squirrel Girl. I wanted to talk about like camp and comics and how some people want to turn their nose up at it. But my first Batman was Adam West. So like that can bring you into comics. It can come from any direction. And Squirrel Girl was just fun. It just did all the fun stuff, but in a different way that I'm used to. And I enjoyed it.
Mine is, I won't share my screen, but if you go to Humble Bundle right now, there is a bundle. Well, all right, I'll share it. Hang on.
Share it.
Share
Humble
it.
Bundle.
Share it. Don't show these tips again. There is a bundle for $12 called Baldur's Gate and Beyond. Of course, Baldur's Gate 3 came out this week.
Yeah.
But this bundle will give you the original Baldur's Gate, the 2 DLC, Baldur's Gate 2. Both of those are stone cold classics, by the way. If you've never played them, definitely worth playing. Neverwinter Nights, The Complete Adventures, Icewind Dale, Planescape Torment, also a massive classic. These are all related to kind of classic D&D, and then they cross the streams and give you Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous, which is, it's of the 2 games that have come out, this is my least favorite of the 2. I like Kingmaker more. It's still worth playing though, and this is a great deal to get all of these for only $12. There's 4 days left on the deal. Definitely, if you just want some kind of old school CRPG gaming, these are all worth getting. So
Ooh, shit.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
Can I borrow $12?
Huh?
Can I borrow $12?
Yeah.
My recommendation is going to be a new book from Image that's coming out next week, The Enfield Gang Massacre #1. This is part of, like, it's in the world of That Texas Blood that Chris Conlon and Jacob Phillips have been doing. I really like these stories. I like these Western titles. Which is, well, why is it called a Western if it's in Texas? Anyways, whatever. But yeah, go check it out.
Right?
But it looks modern day. I mean, like, I know that Texas Blood is modern day, so it's like
so that one's modern day. This one's actually takes place in the past.
Oh,
kind of like the Yellowstone and then 1884, whatever show like that takes place in the past of the same. Anyways,
that's a universe
it's pretty good.
Blocked out of my mind.
If you guys want to read this, it's already on our folder. So go check it out.
Okay. Hey, nice.
Copy of that.
And if it's not, let me know and I'll put it on there. But yeah, I like these kind of books a lot. I'm not caught up on That Texas Blood, but
yeah, same here.
I did tweet. I tweeted at the creators, and they're like, "Oh, you can read this without being caught up. Like, it doesn't have any issues." So
yeah, and I mean, it's the second best crime book out there. I mean, I Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips stuff is always going to be the top notch. But to be such a close second in crime book and comics.
Did you read Night Fever?
No.
I think it's on our folder too. Check it out. I fucking love that book. It's a fever dream for sure. So Josh, if you're feeling better, this book will make you feel like you're feeling worse again.
Okay, that's
but in a fun trip to Europe kind of way. That's all I'll say.
Okay.
So,
all right, I did just open the folder to get that Fire and Ice. So.
All right, cool. Yeah, I'll see what else we can put on there. But all right, well, that's gonna be our show for today. Let us know what you thought of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Geez, the Hellfire Gala.
The real Mutant Massacre.
Yeah, the Mutant Massacre. Let us know which books you'll be reading from the X-Men stuff. We got a few reviews coming out this weekend. One for the Meg 2 should be coming out soon.
Jason Statham playing Jason Statham as Jason Statham. Does that dude ever play a different character?
I don't think so.
Yes.
No, I don't think.
One
Chelios?
movie. He plays the Mad Monk in a British version of The Longest Yard.
Oh
he's a
yeah.
Oh,
goalie
you
for a
mentioned this
soccer team.
before. I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That's a great movie, but it's not Jason. I mean, he's just playing crazy, so it's just him being almost like his Crank character.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Chelios. We also will have a review for a series from Apple TV called Hijack, which was holy shit. It was really good. And also the Beanie Baby movie that came out on Apple TV. I'll be doing a review for that as well.
Gotta watch that. That seems insane.
You need to watch that before your Apple TV thing goes away.
Oh, okay.
Okay, wait, hang on. Just for clarity, is it a movie about the creation of Beanie Babies, or is it like the Emoji Movie and the Beanie Babies?
No. The first one.
Okay, all right.
It stars Zach Galifianakis. It stars Elizabeth Banks.
Oh, damn, I'm in. This sounds great.
Also,
okay.
It's just about the popularity and how it built up so fast.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the crazy man. The 90s were a wild time. How did you guys ever make it out alive?
Dude, I remember friends who got divorced, and part of their settlement was them fighting over who got what.
They touch on one of those things in the. Oh, there you go. He's gonna pull out a bag of Beanie Babies.
No, this is so funny. So my buddy Mike from high school, we're still friends. Randomly, I got a package from him, and inside was like some rips of like Doctor Who stuff. He got me into Doctor Who, but this was in there. And he left a note. He's like, I remember like 30 years ago you saying you wanted one of these, and I've kept my eye out since. And I was at a flea market and they had it, just the platypus. Dude, and so he's like, I finally got it for you. It's like, dude, thanks. So thanks, Mike.
I didn't know that the TY stood for the name of the company. I thought it was like thank you or something.
Oh, interesting.
Thai Beanie Babies.
Yeah. So anyways, the movie it's interesting. I think it's interesting.
I think what it shows too is the collector's market of anything can go all over the place.
Yeah,
and that's what Beanie Babies were.
It's funny to see, knowing that the crypto and NFT stuff like recently just crashed, and then I think like all other crypto is like done. You can't trade anymore in specific things other than Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin's the only one that's still. I don't know. I didn't read the headline. I just read the headline, so I don't know the full news. But look into that. Josh is like, oh no, my crypto.
Oh shit, my $20 of crypto.
Hazel, turn the machines off. No, we need to conserve electricity to deal with this.
All this time, I thought it was mining crypto. This is Hazel playing Minecraft.
All right. Well, that'll do it for us today. So thanks everyone to watch. See you guys later.
See ya.
The most important thing in life will always be the people in this room. Right here. Right now. Salute, mi familia. Salute.
Thanks everyone for watching.
Loves you.
Oh yeah. Clay.
Hell, Bebo.
Josh.
Simon Center, get the fuck out.